If you have a desire to become a better version of your current self, then this podcast is for you. I share with you helpful thoughts, tips, and stories surrounding fitness and self-improvement which you can apply to your life today. So for those of you that want to take control of your life, to learn, to grow, to become that which you desire most, I am your host, Connor Malone, and this is the pursuit of constant improvement. In today's episode, we are going to be talking mentality, more specifically around the growth mentality in terms of the type of way that you need to see certain things in life if you want to achieve certain things. Now, this episode will be very direct. There will be a lot of points where, I don't know, you may even feel offended by certain things I say, but I want to make it very clear. If you are somebody who is ambitious with life, with their fitness, with their self-improvement, with becoming a type of person that they can be proud of, this episode is for you. You're going to enjoy this. This is something that a number of years ago, I would have totally switched off to. I would have listened to this and thought, oh, rubbish, dude, because I would have been offended by it, because I would have been calling myself out. But this is so important. If you are somebody who wants to become better, these are the type of things that you need to take on board. This is the type of mentality that you have to grow and improve. Now, these are things that I have started to learn and started to apply over the past 6 to 7 years of my own self-improvement journey. So I'm going to share all of them with you because these are huge realizations for me. Huge. Some of them, as I said, may catch you a bit off guard and think, shit, is that me? But this is good. So this should open your mind to growth. This should open your mind to improvement. And the reason you are listening to this episode tells me that you're the type of person that's going to benefit from this. So we'll get straight into this, but again, the goal of this is to help you lock in on your goals, to help you take action and push on forward. And again, this comes from your mentality, from the way that you perceive things, from the way that you see the world. This is a growth mentality. This is not meant for anyone else. This is meant for people who want to be different, who want to achieve more with themselves. Now, this is all related to the pursuit of constant improvement. This is the ideal mindset of somebody who is pursuing constant improvement, who's disciplined in their pursuit, who's been relentless with their pursuit. And there's a quote that I really like, and it says, the source, the strength, and the speed of your growth comes from the mind. If you have a weak mindset, you're really going to struggle. You're going to struggle to progress in life. You're going to struggle to overcome obstacles and difficulties. And again, these are the things that I've experienced, which have helped me do exactly that over my past kind of 6 to 7 years of self-improvement. Now, the very first thing that I want to go over today is to help you realize and understand that you are meant for more, that you are capable of more. So if you think of where you are right now and the things that you maybe want to achieve, but you haven't pushed towards them right now, the things that often hold us back are our own limiting beliefs. And our beliefs come through our experiences. So you can't necessarily control that. Like a lot of people think like, oh, I have my own beliefs. I choose to believe this. You don't choose your own beliefs. Your beliefs come from your experiences in life. Like because of the area that you live in, how you're brought up, what your family are like, what they say. You start to then basically get their beliefs. You don't choose your own beliefs. So it's really important for us to realize that a lot of the things that hold you back, the own bullshit that you tell yourself, your own fear, your own doubt, is coming from these limiting beliefs. It was a really big thing for me in terms of I wanted to become better. I wanted to start making content online and things, but I was scared about how other people thought of me and everything like that. And it was my own bullshit beliefs that were stopping me from doing it. So it's really important that we look at this. It's like, how do we find these beliefs? What are the things that are holding us back? Because for me, like, I was essentially bottom of the barrel, right? From an academic perspective, I remember this time when I was in 4th year, people were sitting exams and there was about, let's say 200 people in my year that were sitting exams. There was around 10 to 15 people in that year group that did not sit exams. I was one of them. Now, I didn't think of myself as that bad academically, but it appeared to be that I was really poor academically. Now, this could have done two things for me. This could have made me think, shit, maybe I'm really bottom of the barrel. Maybe I'm just not good at these things. Maybe this is just the way I'm not a smart person. I'm not an intelligent person. I'll never be able to do anything well academically. I'll never be able to teach other people. I'll never be able to create content and do all these things. However, I ridded myself of that mindset. In fact, that drove me to do more because it scared the shit out of me. Like, it's always a time that I remember in my life, I think, fuck, I don't want to be like these people. I don't want to be bottom of the barrel. Am I really that bad? So again, experience could have done two things for me. It could have led me to believe that I'm not good enough, that I'm not smart, I'm not intelligent, I'm not able to do these things academically. Or luckily for me, it led to me becoming an ambitious person years down the line. And now, obviously, I run my own business. I love investing. I love traveling. All the things that I want to do, I do on a regular basis. And I become better at doing all of them. But that would have never have happened if I hadn't realized the limiting beliefs that I had. Because I did, at the time, I did think that. I was like, shit, are you really that stupid? Are you really that bad? If I had held on to that limiting belief, I would have never progressed. So I want you to think about that for yourself. What is the bullshit that you're telling yourself, that you're not capable of this, you're not capable of that? Because see, to be honest, there is nothing holding you back. Like, you can think of things, yes, you'll be able to list things, but think of what people have achieved in life. It always springs to mind when I think of Francis Ngannou, who, if you don't know who he is, he was a UFC fighter. Essentially, I mean, he'll be a multi-millionaire now. He was very successful in his field, but he was African and he used to work in sand mines in Africa. He was the poorest you could possibly be. He tried to escape to France multiple times. He got sent back. Basically, this guy went through more hardship than you could ever imagine. Yet he still got to the top of his field because he didn't let his limiting beliefs hold him back. He didn't think, oh, you're not meant to do this, you're not meant to do that. Because again, there is something in your head that's telling you that. There will be something telling you, oh, don't do this, you can't do that. It's bullshit. It's utter bullshit. And I want you to realize that today, that there is nothing that should be holding you back in your own mind. You can start to achieve these things. You just need to act. Whereas if you have these limiting beliefs saying, I can't start my own business, or I can't get in this type of shape, or I can't be around these type of people, then you never will be. When I think back to when I left school, again, I had little to no qualifications. I went to one of the worst colleges in Scotland. At that time, I loved the idea of being around successful people and people that were pursuing life and business and were high-level athletes and all these things. Now I have friends that are very successful in those fields. But if I had held on to that belief, no, you're not good enough, you're too stupid, you've not got the confidence, you've not got the physique, you've not got the level of intelligence that these people want to be around, I would have never achieved that. But again, we need to rid ourselves of that. So our mentality is so strong. The stories that you start to tell yourself, you will start to believe. Okay, again, it comes from our experiences, but then how we tell ourselves. It's like, what are you telling yourself right now, that you aren't good enough, that you are stupid, that you are this, you are that, is bullshit. So I want you to realize that's one of the first things you need to do to realize that you are capable of more, to become capable of being more. You need to rid yourself of any of these limiting beliefs. So think of that. What are these limiting beliefs that are holding you back? You have to rid your mind of those, or else you're always just going to put that blocker on yourself. Now, another thing, this was a big realization for me, it was huge. I used to think the people that were achieving more than me, particularly in business and in the gym, I was like, oh, these people are just more motivated than me. I'm being out motivated. Oh, they've just got, it's just something they've got. You are not being out motivated. You are being outworked. It's a really important thing to realize. And this, again, is part of our mentality. Nobody is more motivated than us, okay? Like maybe for a short period of time. By the end of the day, what is happening is you are being outworked. If people are achieving more than you, it's because they are outworking you. Now, this is a realization that you need to have. If you want to achieve certain things, don't fool yourself. It's nothing to do with motivation. It's to do with the work. You need to put in the work from there. Motivation is totally overrated. Hard work, on the other hand, is underrated. And it's something that I've started to realize over the past few years. It's like, Jesus, like people aren't really working that hard. Like you really can do good things if you just work hard, if you stay focused on something. Alex Hormozi talks about this all the time. Like, honestly, if you just work hard, you'll far exceed most people. Because most people have this level of entitlement and that, oh, I deserve this, I should be given this. Like anything that's worth having is earned, not given. So again, you shouldn't be looking out for these handouts or this or that, or, oh, I went to university, so I deserve a job right after it. Unfortunately, it's not how the world works. It's like, how do you choose to see that? That's a really important thing. It's like, because I've got a lot of friends who are in that position, or people that I have been friends with. They're like, oh, well, I went to uni for 4 years, but I couldn't get a job because there was no jobs. Listen, that is the reality. That might be pretty shit. However, like, how are you going to respond to that? What's the type of mentality that you're going to have? Are you going to sit for the rest of your life and say, oh, well, I done this in uni, but there was never any jobs. Oh, fuck the government, fuck this, fuck that. Take some ownership. Take some responsibility. This is the type of mentality you have to have if you want to achieve more. You have to realize that you can go out and do this yourself. You take ownership for your own actions. You choose how to respond to these things, you will achieve more. So again, this comes back to it. It's like we can have these limiting beliefs. We can think that other people are out motivated and they're more motivated than us. But it's just the reality is it's not true. We take ownership for these things. We work harder and we realize that nobody's coming to save us. That's a big one. It's like nobody's going to help you out. Nobody owes you anything. But this is an empowering thing. People get a little bit sad and realize, like, oh, why not? Like, fuck, it's just life. It's the way life is. But realize that you can do this yourself. Nobody's coming to save you. That's an empowering thing. Okay, I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to work on that. Of course, in areas of life, people will support us. But at the end of the day, you have to get to where you want to be by yourself. You have to earn it. It's not going to be given to you. Now, this next one, I absolutely love this. This was in a podcast I heard talking about Jimmy Carr, who's a very intelligent guy. If you've never heard any of his podcasts before, very smart guy, and particularly in areas of, I don't know what you want to call it, philosophy, self-help. He has a lot of cool things to say. One of the things he says is, everyone is jealous of what you've got. No one is jealous of how you got it. Everybody wants the view, but nobody wants the climb. And that is the essence of this next lesson. People want the view, nobody wants the climb. Everybody wants to be able to be in great shape. They don't want to have to get up early in the morning, train on days they don't feel like it, track their calories and their nutrition, say no to nights out, say no to socialising. They don't want those things. They don't want the work. They want the view. They want the result. Those people are never going to get it. You get people who want to run a marathon. They're like, oh, I'd love to run a marathon. Why? Because you would like having that as part of your ego, that you've ticked that off. Do you want to train? Do you want to run 4 times a week for the next 12 weeks? Do you want to run 40-mile weeks? Like, what do you really want that? This is a key thing that we need to understand. It's like when we think of these goals that we have, yes, you want the goal, but do you want the work? Do you want the climb? That's what you need to understand. It's like, is this view worth the climb? It's not always a bad thing. Like, I remember, like, when I think of my Muay Thai training, right? I love Muay Thai. It's great. It's good fun. Sometimes I'm training, I'm thinking, wow, imagine what it'd be like to fight or do this professionally or something like that. And then guess what happens? I go in, I get sparred, and somebody beats the shit out of me, and I'm like, fuck, this is not for me. Like, I could not appreciate this climb. And that's fine. I realize that. But so many people have these things. It's like, oh, I would want to do this. I want to do that. Are you going to appreciate the climb? Are you going to be able to put up with the climb? This is a really important thing we have to ask ourselves. Whatever goal you want to achieve, can you deal with the climb? Or is it just the view that you want? Because everybody looks at that. Everybody will see, oh, so-and-so's got this, got that. You don't know what their life's like. You don't know what they went through to get there. So think of that. Next time you desire something, are you willing to put in the work? That's the type of mentality we have to have. It's like, if you want to run a marathon class, but just realize this is going to be tough. It's not going to be easy. You're going to have to put in the work from there. So if you want a good job, great. Are you willing to study for X amount of years? Are you willing to go to these networking events or go to things that you necessarily don't want to do? Because that's what it's going to take. We don't just think about the view, we think about the climb. This is one of the most important aspects of a growth mindset, because the climb, the difficulties, the way that you see that will dictate how consistent you'll be and how persistent you will be. If you see these things, the climb itself, the difficulties, the hardship, the resistance, as a good thing, then you're much more likely to persist, because you see that as like, this is good. I'm getting closer to where I want to be. It's like, I talk to clients about this with fat loss. It's like, oh, I'm hungry. Yeah, good. You are, because you're not giving your body enough energy. So what it's going to have to then do is break down body fat, which is what you want in order to sustain life. Now, again, if we look at it that way, if we look at hunger, people are like, oh, hunger's a bad thing. Yeah, it might seem like that. It might not feel great, but it's not a bad thing. Not for you. Because your goal is to drop body fat. So this is basically your body saying to you, yeah, you're on the right course. Again, it doesn't make things necessarily easier, but it makes it more understandable. It makes us more likely to be able to deal with it from there. Now, think of what you've got to go through to be where you want to be. That's essentially it. The Stoics used to do this a lot. They would prepare themselves in advance for the hardships that they're about to face. When we think about Marcus Aurelius, he didn't really want to be a Roman emperor, but he had to face the fact of like, right, people are going to try and bribe me, people are going to try and do this, people are going to try and do that. He prepared himself for that. The hardships he didn't really want to go through, he prepared himself mentally. And that's the type of mentality we have to have. Think of the climb, not just the view. Now, this quote is a quote that I had mentioned in one of the other episodes, which I absolutely loved. And it really, really helps us understand these failures, the difficulties in life. And it allows us to zoom out and look at the big picture, really. And this has really helped me as of late deal with certain things, with that resistance, with the difficulties I face, with the climb itself. This helps us with the climb. And the quote goes like this. It says, if someone prays for patience, you think God gives them patience, or does he give them the opportunity to be patient? If someone prays for courage, does God give them courage, or does he give them the opportunity to be courageous? Again, if you start to cultivate the mentality, the mindset that these things that you're facing, the climb, the difficulty, the resistance, these things are good. It's showing you that you're where you need to be to become who you want to be. That is a powerful thing indeed. That is the mentality alone that separates so many people from achieving what they want to achieve. Whether it's when we're trying to lose body fat and we think of hunger, whether it's in business and it feels like nothing's going right and that you have an abundance of work to do, this is a good sign. It's showing you that you are where you need to be. Resistance, pain, difficulty can be good things. We need to see it that way. We need to cultivate that mentality. Again, if you want to be a courageous person, you're not going to become a courageous person without facing things that require courage, difficult situations. Now, the next thing I want to go over again is a Stoic concept, and it is the idea of remembering that you must die. Memento mori, that's how the Stoics said it. And if you have this type of mentality, you'll see this as a positive thing. Basically, you think of it from the second that you start breathing, from the second that you are born, you're dying. You're dying 1 second at a time. You're getting closer to our ever-impending death. That's how the Stoics used to see it. Now, this can scare you, as it will everybody. Of course, it's going to scare us all. However, it can also empower us to realize that, fuck, maybe I won't have that much time, but I want to make good use of it. Now, think how many times you've sat scrolling through your phone doing fucking pointless tasks. I do it. You'll do it. You scroll looking through social media, you feel shit when you come off and you think, what the fuck was I just doing? Such a waste of time. But these are the things we need to remind ourselves of. This is part of my morning journal and it's memento mori. Remember, you must die. So let that dictate how you act today. Like, you aren't going to have all the days in the world, so make sure that they count. Because again, is it a harsh reality? To somewhat, yeah, it is, but it can be an empowering thing. It can make you make good use of your time. So rather than sitting scrolling in your phone and wasting time and caring about what other people think, like, how pathetic does that sound when you get to the end of your life? Let's imagine you're 85 in your deathbed and you look back at your life and you think, oh, fuck, I was going to do all these things, but I didn't because, well, I was scrolling through my phone and I cared what people thought about me. You'd feel pathetic. You'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe I've done that. But this lesson helps us remember that. Helps us create that mentality of, yes, I will die one day, but I'll make the best use of the time that I have. Marcus Aurelius says this quote, and I love it. He says, it never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than ours. It's like, you care so much about yourself. You want all these things, but how other people think of you and what they say about you, you take that to heart all the time. It's like, it doesn't make sense. But again, this is important because this was a problem they were facing 2,000 years ago. This is human nature. So we need to realize that. But think of it. You don't want to have these regrets later on in life. And when you start to live in a way like with memento mori, remembering you must die, and you make good use of your time, it is empowering. It brings confidence because you're making good use of your time. So when that moment eventually does come, you have much more peace around it. So again, memento mori. Remember, you must die. We are all going to die one day. However, you can control what you do with the time that you have left. Now, one last thing to finish off for today. We have a quote from Einstein, and he says, we cannot solve a problem on the level of consciousness that created it. And what he means by that is if we do not have awareness, like awareness of these problems that I've just mentioned to you, this type of mentality, you're never going to be able to make these changes. Again, we cannot solve a problem on the level of consciousness that created it. What it means, like, so that this awareness, if you do not have this level of awareness, you do not understand all these problems, you'll never be able to change them. But with the mentality that we want, this growth mentality, we become able to solve these types of problems. So again, a really positive reminder from Einstein himself. Now, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. As ever, I'm sure there's things in there that you can apply to your own pursuit of constant improvement. Plenty more episodes here for you to watch if you ever want to. There's 45 episodes that we have on YouTube and Spotify. Of course, I produce more content on Instagram and TikTok, so you can follow me using the links in the description. But as I said, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I hope you took some value from it and something that you can apply to your own pursuit of constant improvement. Thank you for listening.